Hello, and welcome back to the Mid Am Podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Tyler Munns, and on the other side of the screen for me is my good friend Nathan Furamasu.
Hello.
And before we get started, as always, we'd like to thank the fine folks at Adele Golf for sponsoring this episode and every previous episode, or most previous episodes of the Mid Am Podcast.
Even before we were sponsored by them, they sponsored us. They just didn't know it.
That's true. We manifested that shit. That's officially part of the ad read. I just read that off of an email from their marketing team.
The Array putter line. Manifest your shit.
Manifest that shit. We've said it a lot, and we'll continue to say it. Irons, wedges, putter, just
unreal.
They make really good product, and you should check them out. They have a demo program where you can just purchase a single 7-iron. They'll build it up for you, and it's fairly inexpensive. And I highly suggest you do it because you will be blown away by the quality. You'll be blown away by the sound, the feel. Genuinely, like, I can't think of another iron. Not that I've hit every iron out there, but I've hit a lot of them. And like just the feel and especially on the SMS Pros, like the consistency of the ball flight off the face. It's just nothing like I've really ever experienced. And I attribute a lot of that to the movable weight, like being able to dial that in. That makes a big difference. And you don't think it would, but you don't think it would, but then at the same time, you've got these guys, and I know I was one of them where you're like, oh, like 2 grams of lead tape is like really going to, change my game. It's like, yeah, well then, okay, then yeah, moving like 8 grams of weight around is, that's going to that's going to impact some stuff.
Yeah. I mean, at the very minimum, they are a solid iron on par with everybody else, but then they have the movable weights and it just elevates them. So,
and honestly, I would go a little bit further, especially on the SMS Pros. Like, I'd go a little bit further.
Yeah,
I would say like that the SMS standard SMS are like, P770, P790, like the TaylorMade T series.
Sure.
The SMS series is like pretty. I would say that's very comparable. I can't really think of another iron that like bridges the gap between a muscle back and a cavity back the way that the SMS Pros does. Like I haven't, and I'm trying to find a good comp for it. I just haven't figured it out yet. They're really good. So wedges are great too. And obviously the putter, I mean, Nathan's one of the best putters I know, and he's been gaming the Elder Wand for quite some time. And he's lights out with it. So be sure to check out all of the wonderful things that Adele Golf has to offer at adelegolf.com. That's EDEL. Sorry, let's try that again. EDELGOLF.com. Thank you again, Adele.
Hello.
Tonight we're getting dumb. We're getting a little dumb with it, dude.
Yeah.
We've been throwing around this idea of playing more dumb, not playing stupid, but playing dumb.
If you've listened to this podcast, you know how smart we are and how nerdy we are.
We are
our
probably
big
some of the smartest.
One more time.
Folks, we're probably some of the smartest folks in all of golf. I've been saying that. Many people have said that.
Our
to a detriment,
brains,
I would say.
Yeah.
To a detriment.
Often get in the way.
Too smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, the catalyst of even thinking about this was we've made the comment back and forth kind of as a joke before, like, God, if we could just like be as empty-headed as Dustin Johnson, like we'd both be pretty good at this game. And someone recently, a friend of Todd, friend of the show,
hey,
he he was like, hey dude, I bet you that if you just stopped like taking such granular level statistics and paying attention to them as much as you do in round and post round, that you'd drop under I think he said under a 1 handicap or something in like a month. And I was like, that's insane. I mean, God, I would hope to I'd hope you prove me wrong, but that's impossible. And so we made a bet. So 30 days, I said, hey, to make it fair, like, let's go, one full stroke. So if I get it under a 2.2 and we're about 15 days in, 2 weeks in, then if I do that, then I have to donate $100 to Oregon Junior Golf. If I don't do it, then he only has to donate $50 to whatever thing he wants to donate to. But so, that part of that for me is like, so like normally as before for like the strokes gained stuff, golf metrics, I like wrote down every single shot, Matthew Fitzpatrick, write down every shot. And then, regurgitate it into the app and then obsess over the data points. And so, at first I went to just doing greens, fairways, greens, and putts just to have something on the card. Then I went to like none of that, but I still circled birdies and squared bogeys. Now I'm to the point where I just write a number on the card, and I won't add up the 9 or the 18 till the end.
Yeah.
And I've thrown up a couple good scores. I threw up like a 72, 74, 76, like back to back to back. 2 of them were in competition. And fired a 79 today at the club championship, the first round. And, made a couple dumb mistakes, but no, not dumb mistakes, stupid mistakes. There's a difference. And so, yeah, so like dumb
wouldn't have been a mistake.
Dumb wouldn't have been a mistake. No. Yeah. So I'm like in this kind of like discovery phase of like, hey, if you take the over analysis and the like micromanagement of your game out of the equation, like, can you get into this flow state, or whatever you want to call it? Like,
sure.
Pia Nielsen and they talk about it as a flow state or whatever and be a player. So like, I don't know, that's maybe the thought, like if I can just turn that off, maybe I'll play better golf. So yeah, we're experimenting.
I mean, I was just ranting to my wife before we started recording, and I was ranting to my playing partners today who because I also played today. It was an 84 that felt like a 104. It was just like we were playing down at Tristing Tree. The pins were in these diabolical positions because they just finished up with the Pacific Northwest Golf Association like week-long championship. They left the like championship round pins for today, and they were like filthy. I had no issues on the greens. It was just getting to the greens that was the problem. Yeah. So that was great. Lots of fun. But I've said it before on the show, and I've also, you've probably heard me say this, and it's sort of been my running theme of the year of just like, how do I get myself to just hit the shot in the moment? Yeah. And I know like player B or like, I could just toss down 8 more. I could put 10 balls right here where I just hit this horrible shot and missed by 40 yards, which is like way outside my dispersion or should be. And I hit these like really big uncharacteristic misses, and I could toss down a small bucket and not do that once.
Right.
And it's like, well, how do I make the leap from just like all the preamble to the shot of like figuring out yardage and wind and lie and the club and all this BS and my swing feels and yada 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 to just like friggin' see ball hit ball.
Yeah.
Because I know that that's better, and I know that like my misses would be better, and I have just struggled, and I need to figure out how to do that. That's been my thing this year. And it was, the same today, and I got going and was just like, I had a couple of unlucky breaks early on, and the score was bad. And, and I played halfway decent, but it was just kind of sloppy all around. I hadn't played in almost a month. So there's that. But it just was like, what am I doing? What was that? Like, I haven't hit one of those in, a month, right? Or 2 months even. And so it was just frustrating. And then, you get home, and I was joking with a buddy. It's like, this is a universal experience for golfers where after a round, you sit down and you go, what did I just do? Like,
Yeah.
I could go right now and not do any of that stupid stuff and put in like 0 to 15% effort the whole way around. And if I had the diligence and like the wherewithal to do that the first time around,
Right.
like, how do I was like, I was joking on the 17th tee today that I was like, I'm so tired of working so hard to shoot bad scores. Like, I just need somebody to like, I need to take a hit to the head before I play or something
Yeah.
and just be out there like,
Back at the bottom.
yeah.
Yeah. I've, I feel, yeah, I feel that too. It's like, it's like that, when you get when you're in like an argument with someone and then like a day later you're in their shower and you're like, God, that would have been the comeback. Oh my God, that would have really put them in their place. You know, it's like you're in a 4-hour argument with golf. And then when you get home, you're just like, dude, oh my God, if I would have just like threw that zinger out there,
Yeah.
it really would have put golf in its place. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, how do you, I mean, that's the big question. Like, how do you step outside of the moments? And you had like, you had texted me when in the middle of me blowing up in the first day at the OGA stroke play. And you're like, hey, you know, like, I know this is hard to do, but like try to step outside of the round, like just take a quick break. And it's like,
yeah,
you know, how do you effectively do that? And I think it's one of those things that it is a practice skill. And I think when you get to the level of like the skill level that we're at, we're like, we can hit all the shots. We are both capable of hitting all the shots. We can hit tour level shots, not as consistently as they can, obviously, you know, when it matters most, but like, from just like a hard skill standpoint, we can do it. And so like, what is that next level? And I'm really just like really starting to discover this for the first time. It's like, it is that ability to like, they're like compartmentalizing superheroes,
yeah,
right? To totally disassociate from anything that's happened before or anything that could happen and live in the moment.
yeah, and
Is
just hit.
it, that is the difference.
Yeah.
And that is not inherent, at least for me. It might be inherent for other people. I don't think it is for most people.
No, I think like you say, it's a skill. I mean, and it's one of those things that's super frustrating because like this is not the first time I've heard this. This is not news. We read the Player 54. Wait,
Mm-hmm.
no, is it Player 54? No,
Vision
Vision
54.
54. Yeah. Like this is like one of the main points they make in the first few chapters, and you know I've read a bunch of Rotella or you know,
Yeah.
just anything. And they all talk about this. And every time you hear it, it's like it hits you over the head. And then you're like, oh man, what am I doing? I'm making this so hard on myself. Why am I adding all this other BS that just gets in my own way? And then you go out and you play one round and usually it's like, oh, that was great. And then
Yeah.
you get distracted by swing changes or whatever, or you fall into old habits and then so again I was whinging to my wife and she's just like, so I've heard you say this before.
Right.
I was like, never mind, I need to call Tyler. You
He'll
don't
get
understand.
You'll get it. Yeah. No, and I think like and there are so many levels to it too, because what I found, uh, which is interesting, mostly because this is again one of the first times I've really dealt with this, is that like you can have that same, um, it's different, but it's still this. It's like it's two sides of the same coin. So even when you're playing well, you can run into this, and I've ran into this a couple, like today, for instance. I think hopefully this will illustrate when I'm rambling right now, but like hopefully this will tie it all in a bow. But I've been hitting the ball very well. Like I am so confident in my ball striking. Like I just, there's just this level of certainty around like, dude, if I am in the fairway or if I have a clean look at the green, I'm hitting the green.
Mm-hmm.
I just know it. I just know that I'm hitting the green. No matter what happens, I'm hitting the green. And like that became an issue today. I was on the 14th hole. I just played a really good string of holes. Like I had made three really, like one bogey that is whatever, it's going to be a bogey, two bad bogeys, and then I just strung together a bunch of good pars. I made another bogey that was supposed to be a bogey in between there, and I missed like a 6-foot birdie putt. But like I wasn't mad about it because I was like, just be patient. I kept telling myself, just be
Yeah.
patient, just be
Yeah.
patient. And so we come up to 14, hit, hit a really good drive. I have 140 yards in, back pin, kind of tucked back right. And then the way that 14 is situated is like it's ravine like water up to this elevated green that's is not very deep. It's kind of wide. And then just behind the green is like a bunker that you don't ever want to be in. And then behind that is like hard pan that maybe 5 yards of hard pan into a hazard. Just like a red stake. And so long is just dead. It's deader than dead. Short isn't great either, but obviously it's better than long because you can still at least chip up. And so I was like, I get up there and I was so confident in my ability to hit it close that I was like, oh, 140, that would be a 9-iron, but it's plus 15 win probably. Maybe a little less, but like I felt comfortable with like a plus 15 win. So I'm like, I'm going to chip an 8-iron and I'm going to stuff this thing. And it carried 2 yards over the green, hits the hard pan, bounces over the bunker, hits the hard pan again, bounces into the hazard. And that was so unnecessary. Like in that moment, my like confidence in my abilities caused me to like make a decision to make a stupid decision. To say like, I can stuff this thing close. No, I can't. Like, no, I from 140 yards. No, I can't. Like on any sort of consistent basis, even there's no wind, I'm in the fairway and there's no hazards. I still can't do that consistently, even if I feel like I can. What I should have done is just hit a 9-iron. And if I have a 30-foot birdie putt, I have a 30-foot birdie putt.
Yeah.
Who cares? And so like being able to compartmentalize both ways, right? Like after you have a bad hole or a bad swing, being able to like completely disregard that and say like, that is not the beginning of a pattern. That is just an isolated event in time. It does not define how the rest of this round can go. It doesn't negate every good shot I've ever hit. It's just that happened. And so like, now I need to go make something and I'm going to go hit another shot and that's going to happen. But then on the other side, it's like, ignoring how well you're hitting it, ignoring how well you're playing, like ignoring all those things, and don't let that also influence decision making. And that is like not a problem I ever thought I would have, but it's like, dude, you got to keep the head on a swivel because no matter what you're doing, golf is like it's like sirens, in the ocean trying to like drown you. Golf is trying to pull you into the abyss, man, and you got to be vigilant. You got to be on your toes out there.
Tie yourself to the mast.
Yeah, like figuratively. And so, like part of that idea of like playing dumb golf is like playing as if you've never played a hole before and you'll never play a hole after. It's like you have to somehow try to get into that mindset that like nothing. And today I mixed feelings about my round today because it could have been really good and it didn't end up being great, but it wasn't horrible. But like, excuse me, I caught myself a couple times. So I was like 4 over. I was like, God, I was just, for some reason I had like 73 in my head. And I was like, I really felt like I could have got, and I think I could have, but I was like, I was 4 over. And then I got in, like, I slipped into this, like, oh my gosh, I'm 4 over. So I need to go try to make like 2 birdies. And then I like had to stop myself and be like, no. You're not anything right now. You're not anything. Like you're not 4 over. Like you are on the 12th hole. That's what you're on the 13th hole. That's what you're on. Like, you haven't done anything because nothing is done. So, um, like I was proud of myself for catching myself in that moment and being like, no, let's stop thinking, dude. Stop trying to see the big picture, stop trying to do the math.
Mm.
You fucking nerd. Like just you're on the 13th tee box. What are you going to do? Okay. I'm going to trust myself to hit like a really good drive. And I did it, and that was cool. And
This
so,
this kind of goes back to I don't remember how many episodes ago when we had that question about like how do you play and not give up your passion for playing good golf, and people were just like you just can't care, or you just you just got to like
yeah,
just got to not care. And I think this is what people should say, because this is, you have to, as you said, compartmentalize to where you boil everything down to ball go far that way,
yeah,
and just like remove all of that, not because you don't care, you're not giving up your investment in the game, but you're focusing on the simplest of task kind of thing.
yeah. You've
um
broken it down to its smallest part, which is,
right,
and I think that's like
which
the
then has no meaning, and then you don't like,
yeah.
yeah, so it's like it's
And
not
I
that
think
we
if
don't care, we give up caring.
no, I
Yeah.
think if you look at it, I think the ego that we deal with, or that gets us in trouble, is thinking that like we can plan ahead.
Oh yeah.
And we can't, like
No.
we can't, like I can't be like, oh, I really need to make, I mean, we've said this before, like, oh, I really need to make birdie on this hole. It's like, well, no, you don't. Like, you can't. First of all, there's nothing that you can do on the tee box to like influence what's going to happen 3 shots, 2 or 3 shots from now, right? Like, all you can truly do is like, I need to hit this drive here, and that's what I need
Yeah.
to do, because you
Yeah.
don't know what's going to happen. You could get the shittiest break of all time and be like in a hole, and you don't get, like,
Yeah.
in a divot that wasn't sanded and it's up against the lip, and you have no, like,
Yeah.
you just don't know. And so to try to plan ahead, that far, even just one hole, or,
Yeah.
a lot of times
Or anything.
I was thinking like, try to think 6 holes ahead,
Yeah.
before I caught myself. And, like that's, you can care. I cared so much about that tee shot.
Yeah.
I cared a ton about that tee shot. Because I really wanted to hit a good tee shot there,
Yeah.
but like
But
I
you can
had
reduce
to,
it down to just
what
the
I can do
the
in that moment.
act. Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
hit all 72 shots at once,
Yeah.
or whatever, 79 shots at once.
This is what I was initially thinking about when we decided we were or like when we were like, hey, let's just talk about being dumb and like dumb
Yeah.
golf. And this is what was going through my mind is the idea of like, should we, we use the word should a lot. Like, I should have been able to get up and down from there. I should have made that 4-footer. I should have
Yeah.
this or should have that. Or, oh, hey, as I'm planning my round out, like, cool, if I hit driver here, then I should be able to go for this green in two. Or, like we use this word that's so charged with like, with the
Expectation.
idea of, yeah, control and expectation. And I was like, we need, like, I feel like part of dumb golf is you have to give up that idea that you have control, like you were just talking
Mhm.
about. And the way it hit me this week was like, my wife she was gone all week. She's in on vacation with her sister, and so I was solo parenting the 2 girls, and I had this like, I had the schedule for the week of like, hey, Sunday we're doing this. These days I work and I got to drop off here and pick up, and these person's carry. So it's like I have all this idea of like, okay, this is the schedule of events. This is how it should go. And I don't know why, but for whatever reason, Sunday afternoon, I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, I need to hold that very loosely, because like the stuff is inevitably going to come up. I can't orchestrate the entire week. And the more that I try to white knuckle and like guide every single event to happen on the time frame that I like think that it should and have planned out for it to, the more I set myself up for like emotional shifts from neutral.
Yeah,
Essentially, like, oh, cool,
totally.
that went really, like, oh, say something went really smoothly, then all of a sudden I'm like jazzed, or something like we're late to something because, we didn't brush our teeth, who knows what,
Yeah,
like, could be anything. And all of a sudden I'm pissed, right? And then it
yeah,
ruins my whole day, and that's like, we do the same thing with golf. And so I was sitting there thinking of like, I need to just ditch the word should, because it
yeah.
just has no place in playing a round of golf. Like,
I
yeah,
think,
okay, statistically we can say like, yeah, should, that should
yeah,
occur, like, on average. But I think that it creates such expectations that at some point inevitably won't be met.
yeah.
Guaranteed. If there's a guarantee, at some point, if you have expectations, they won't be met. And you're just setting yourself up to be pissed off.
Yeah. I think Fawcett talks a little bit about that,
Yeah.
where someone will tell him, like, oh man, like it's like I shot X, but I really should have shot this. He's like, no, should you have?
No.
Because you
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
You shot what you shot, and like that's what you did. So like, no, you shouldn't have done anything. You did what you did.
Yeah.
So like, and I think that's a good that's a good like part of compartmentalizing to when you do something that you feel is uncharacteristic or wasn't necessarily to plan.
Hmm.
um being able to like kind of almost like forgive yourself, not to get like really therapeutic, but like just to say like I had a 5 foot, I had like a 15-yard straight, very straightforward chip for birdie or for
Mm.
eagle on
Mm.
6 today, so it should have been an easy, should have been, I'm saying,
Yeah,
I'm telling
exactly.
us we shouldn't do this, but I'm
Yeah.
doing it right now. But
Should
it's
have
like,
been easy birdie.
there's a realistic expectation of me that I go away with that with birdie, like well more than half the time. I would
Yeah.
hope that the time and effort that I've put into getting better, that like I could expect myself to do that. Well, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And so I like I was, I would have been, it was another moment where I kind of caught myself a little bit, where I'm just like, oh, dude, what a waste of opportunity. I really should have made that. And I was like, well, no, just like patient. In my mind, the word of the day was like, just be patient. Like
Yeah.
it'll come. Just like whatever. Par's literally never a bad score. Just let it be.
Sure.
Don't worry about it. And then you came up on 6, hit a tee shot, or on 7, hit it on the worst green in the game of golf. And I hit a tee shot that stayed up above the pin somehow.
Ruh-roh.
And then I rolled it like 8 feet past, because it's all you can do.
Yeah.
And then I made the comebacker, for par. And like, I
Great.
was like, hey, like that was a great par, like, and I think previously I would have been like, just thinking about the make percentages and all that stuff. I would have been like, I really should, like I really stole one there. I shouldn't. But I was like, no,
Yeah.
like don't think of it that way either. Like
You just made it.
we don't have to frame these events as like good or bad. And you suggested that to me, where it's like, don't think of a tee shot as like, oh, this is a really tough tee shot, or oh, this is a really tough chip, or this is a really tough putt. It's like, no, it's just a putt. It's a chip. It's a tee shot.
Yeah.
Like there is no difference materially from any other tee shot. Are there some other obstacles in the way? Sure. But like, it's at
Yeah.
the end of the day, the ball is on the tee in the same way that it is on every other tee box that you're going to be on. And so like, don't put any extra emphasis on something that doesn't need to be there. And I think that's like the part of mental golf that I don't understand yet, or like fully, that
Mhm.
is not inherent. And that is something that like I'm starting to write stuff down a lot more, of like these types of thoughts, things that I need to try to remember, and like and to train on, to say like, in the same way that I will write down swing feels and stuff, that is becoming, I'm thinking less and less about my mechanics, and I'm thinking more and more about how I can get around the course, because even when I'm not hitting it great, I still think that it's serviceable. Like even
Sure.
on my not good days, like I can figure it out. And,
Absolutely.
and so I've just got to like now build up my mental arsenal to be able to do that.
I
And
think that, I mean, we've talked about that before. Well, first of all, I stole that thing from Brad Faxon, and I don't know who he
oh,
heard it from, but I'm sure he heard it from somebody.
he
But just
stole it
like
from
he
someone
just
too.
says,
He seems
he's
like a
just
kind of
like,
guy who would steal tips and
ew,
then like
yeah,
reframe him as himself.
no, I don't know. I don't
Bastard.
remember. I just heard him say it one
Yeah.
time. But essentially, there's no such thing as a hard putt. It's just a putt,
Hmm. Yeah.
just or an easy putt. It's just a putt.
Right.
And I just to kind of expand that to everything. Um, I forget what I was going to say. Damn.
It's okay. We'll come back to it.
We'll get there. But anyway, this is one of those things I feel like that we golf and life. One of the reasons why it's such a great game. Smile, wink. I think you can say this about any pastime. I mean, people can learn life lessons from all kinds of sports or hobbies or crafts or whatever. But you know, one of the things I think I maybe not learned, but just kind of like felt this week, is this aspect of just like, oh, all right, if I don't set expectations, then nothing can be unexpected.
Yeah.
And it frees me up to just kind of receive what comes. There's an ease to that, and I think that's like that neutrality that we're always talking about with playing golf. And you can be patient, you can be open to how the round just kind of transpires, and you're just trying to hit individual shots. um so I'm kind of noodling on that right now, and obviously, like, when I played today, I got lost in the muck and the mire. And I did this really well on like 6 holes when I remembered to do it, and the other ones were,
Mhm.
I was grinding.
Yeah.
And but like you say, like this is the type of stuff where I'm like, I just don't I I don't want to say I don't care about swing changes and stuff anymore, because I am working on things and it's getting better, and so I care about them in that regard. But I know, oh, here's what I was going to say. Like, I know serviceable for someone who can hit the ball like you or I can, like decently enough. If you can just kind of do the meh thing all the way around, you should be able to shoot in the 70s.
Oh yeah.
Like,
No
if not
questions.
if not better. Like, and and to see pros, I think I texted you this the other day. I started watching this other YouTube channel of these pro golfers,
Yeah.
and watching them, like, they freaking spray it all over the course. Like, they do not hit like good shot after good shot after good shot after good shot, but they just kind of do the so thing, and nothing gets really out of control. Nothing gets like really crazy, and they just sort of let it happen, and they get it around, and you watch their scores at the end of the day, and they're like 200. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, what am I doing? Like, I'm so less. I'm finding like myself wanting to shift focus from so much of the swing changes now, because they're starting to get a little bit more comfortable and things, and I feel like a little bit more confident in them, and it's like, okay, I don't need to pay them as much mind. Like, what can I
Right.
do? I found myself thinking this today, like, what can I do to just hit, like, I just want to hit like a little 3/4 punchy whatever at everything,
Yeah.
every single shot, and just like, and then just kind of like plod your way around the course. Like, I want to put as little effort into how I'm swinging the club, and brain
Yeah.
space and any of that. Like, just hit it that way, and it always goes better. And I don't know why I always forget to do that. It's just, and
Yeah.
I think and at that point, that's where I think it's like, that's the skill portion. Like, you just have to be diligent about that. You have to be
Yeah.
writing down those thoughts and being concerned about those things to develop that skill
Well, and
versus
that's
like, oh, I just had this epiphany and now it's just going to be fixed forever. It's like, no, 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 no. Like,
no,
I
that's
know
like
this
the
stuff,
yeah,
but
that's like the hygiene of it, the maintenance of it is like and I think that's the kind of planning
right.
that you can do. And that's really what planning your round is. It's like, no, what are the things that I'm going to focus on? What are the things I'm going to concentrate? Not like, where am I going to hit this tee shot? Where am I going to try to lay up to? It's like, no, you can't, you
Right.
literally cannot predict what's going to happen. You know, it's so
Yeah.
anything could happen.
I mean, I think it's still worthwhile to go around, especially like if tournament round or a course you haven't played before and you want to play well, to like at least look and be like, okay, it would be just unwise
Oh, yes,
to
certainly.
attempt that shot or this shot.
Like
But
there's a certain level at which it gets too granular and it's
right.
like you're just
But then
wasting your
beyond
time.
that, like forget it. Just
Yeah.
just hit the ball.
And I've I've kind of experimented with the idea of, because I know like there's a couple schools of thought. There's like aim small, miss small. It's like, oh, aim at the smallest target possible. And then I mean, I know
Mhm.
you're kind of more of a field goal guy.
Yeah.
Um, I'm kind of almost I'm almost like it's like a variation of the field goal where it's
Mhm.
like, okay, I know kind of where I want to align my body so that if this ball were to go straight, this is where it's going.
Yeah.
But I just almost like on the tee box accept that it can kind of go anywhere.
Mhm.
And I'm just going to make my swing. I'm just going to swing
Yeah.
like, and then we're going to figure out what happens. And I found that, especially if I'm like nervous over a shot a little bit or anxious, which it happened a couple times today, just because it happened twice. Once on the ninth tee, because we literally waited 15 minutes to tee off because the person who set up the member guest tee off, they put the higher handicaps out first,
Mm.
and then they had the lower handicaps follow. So pace of play was abysmal.
Mm.
And it was, our understanding is because the person that uh, handles that is married to one of the higher handicappers who wanted to play in the morning. So this person
Oh,
decided to
good.
reverse how it had been done every year prior. Anyway, so pace of play was kind of a bummer. But yeah, it was like ninth hole, kind of a tough tee shot. No, it's not. It's just a tee shot, but there's a lot of obstacles. Um,
There's
and
stuff.
it narrows down quite a bit at the end there. But I was just like, okay, I'm gonna align my body to here, and then I'm just gonna swing. And I accept already it can go anywhere, and I will just figure it out. And I just put it, just hit it on a rope.
Mhm.
And I was like, hey, that's and so I wrote that down. I have like a little notebook in my thing. I wrote that down. I was like, that kind of helps me. We were joking about it earlier, where it was just like pretend that pretend like you're teeing two already,
Oh,
like the
yeah.
bad shots already happened.
Player B.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of like a riff on that to be like,
Yeah.
this literally could go anywhere. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like it all happens so quickly. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's gonna hit, if I'm
I
gonna
don't
hit it
know.
straight,
Yeah.
but whatever. Like we're gonna figure it out. Like left, right, center. Like I'm gonna go find it, and if I have to go drop, I have to drop, and I'll try to figure out a way to like get it in the hole as quickly as possible. And like that just it just freed me up to like be accepting of whatever result happens before I even like swing the club. It kind of freed me up a little bit. And I don't know if that's the right approach for everything, but in that moment it worked really well. So being able to draw on that maybe down the line as something that might comfort me in a kind of an anxiety inducing situation, like that's the kind of stuff that like talking about building that mental arsenal. It's like remembering those things and
Mhm.
planning that way to be like, okay, cool. If I'm in this position, like here's how I'm going to approach it. Not necessarily like what club I'm going to hit or whatever. I mean, to a certain extent, like, oh, this is a less than driver hole or whatever, but no, mentally, like, uh, emotionally, here's how I'm going to approach this shot, because like
Yeah.
I am nervous. I'm anxious because I care. I want to play well. Like I
Yeah.
want to shoot my best score. I want to win a trophy. I want all these things.
Yeah.
Um, but like you can't do that on the first tee or any other tee. You have to just like, it's such a one round of golf is a long process. 2 rounds of golf is even more. If you get into these 3-round, 4-round events, like
Yeah.
it's a lot of golf, man. And
Yeah.
you've got to, I mean, you cannot be locked in for that long a time. It's just, there's no human alive that can do that.
No.
And so finding ways to like cope with that so that you can play your best golf. And then that's this idea of like dumb it down, man. Like just take everything, strip it down to it's the most fundamental parts. And it's like aim, swing, and find it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, that's all you can do.
Yeah. So my post-round epiphany today it was sort of surrounding this like field goal, whatever idea. And I think I am going to try and adjust what I do. I've been working really hard to be like really target oriented, right? And just like, okay, I want to be focused out there where I want the ball to go. And relating that to the motion and the swing and all that stuff that I'm trying to do. But I had one shot today.
Uh-oh.
Hit it. So there's one of the par 4s on the back 9. I had hit a poor tee shot and tried to get up over some trees. It was kind of a gamble, but I was kind of just horsing around at that point anyway. Didn't get up over them, fell down into the copse of trees, but I had a wide open alley. Not even like, this isn't even like any kind of, I wouldn't even call it like a heroic rescue shot or anything like that. Like I had a pretty wide look open at the green, but I had to keep it low, and I at least had to like start it in the right direction. So my whole life I've been really good at these shots, like these little low chippy punches. Grew up playing Glendoveer, like you get good at hitting it.
You just hit little darts.
You just get really good at it. And my epiphany that after the fact was that like, okay, I can stand up there in the middle of the fairway and have all this open expanse in front of me and hit a ball that like never even goes in the direction of the green.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Like just like completely miss the green to the right or to the left. Like my dispersion is wild, and I'm trying to hit this like field goal out there, where I see the shot apexing or arcing or whatever. But then I can get in the trees and, not have all of this room in the world and think, okay, all I have to do is just kind of get it scooting that way first. That's all that matters. And then clean contact. And man, I'll tell you what, I hit this thing on an absolute laser of a line exactly at like one side of the mound in front of this green that I was trying to hit it at from it was like 140 out. So it was like a little punch 6-iron
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And I know I could go do that all day long.
Yeah.
And okay,
like you just know that like you can hit that shot over.
So like a punch shot, isn't functional for an entire round of golf, sure. But how, like, what I need to take that mindset and like boil down this field goal idea into something like I need to make my field goal like 1.5 feet wide and put it like a foot in front of the ball kind of thing.
Can I pause it? Can I propose something?
Yes.
So I think you're a window guy.
I may be.
I think you're a window guy. You need to hit it through a window.
Yeah. But I want that window to be like right in front of me.
Yeah. No, why? Yeah. No, that's it. Right. I know a lot of guys chip that way, it's like, what window are they going through? And that's right in front of you, that launch, cause like launch is measured like 6 or 8 feet away from impact or something like that. I mean, like that could be your thing. It's like, no, I just want to get it through this window. That's, this window that's 10 feet in front of me. Like I want the ball exiting into that window.
Yeah.
I think that could be it for you.
And I initially right now I'm thinking I'll probably bring it in even like a foot outside my lead foot. like just something almost in my peripheral vision as I'm looking down at the ball kind of thing. Like I
Mhm.
just want to, if I give myself a little box or something on the ground right there, like standing
Yeah.
like a pane of glass or whatever, right? And I'm
Yeah.
just going to punch it through there. At least I know it's starting like
Yeah.
online in the general direction. From there,
Right.
if it curves, whatever. But like I could do that all day long, and at least then I would eliminate these like wild misses that
Yeah.
just don't make any sense. And I assume I'm just like thinking about my swing or something, but it's like, what? So that was somewhat of a one shot for me because it could change a lot, a lot. And also it
Yeah.
was a pretty stinking
Pretty sick shot. Yeah.
stellar shot. And, um, so I think I'm going to try and shift, but that for me then kind of takes not aim small, miss small, not like big broad targets and like free. I need like somewhere in the middle. Like
Well,
I
it's
need
like you're
some barriers to like so that I can just go, I need to hit this ball there.
well, yeah, I mean, I think it sounds like you're bringing that target
Closer.
much more into the foreground.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of times, some people struggle. It's like, well, when you put the target that far out there, it's hard. It's a little hard to conceptualize
Yeah.
when you're so far away from it. But
Yeah.
it's just like, if I need to hit it, that's why, yeah, I mean, like I'm pretty decent at hitting through like punchy shots through trees. Cause you're just like, I need to hit it through that gap that is 20 feet in front of me.
Yeah.
And that's all you're focused on. And then everything beyond that, you don't even care about, because your only goal is to get it through that gap. And then whatever happens after that. So it kind of makes sense that, yeah, if you were to figure out a way to like, say like, I just need to get it through this imaginary gap that's in front of me.
Right.
I mean, that just makes it, I mean, that kind of like mind body connection to the face of the club. Like
Yeah.
all of a
It's just so
sudden
much more.
it's
Yeah.
so athletic. Like
Yeah.
it's
Just
just so like,
intuitive. It just, yeah. So I've already been like, okay, I'm going to pretend like there's an impact bag right in front of the ball and I'm just going to hit the shit out of it,
yeah,
or like, something about that size that like I'm just trying to punch the ball at least 2 feet through that section there. And it's like, okay, well, if it goes 2 feet in one direction, at least it'll stay, at least it'll have started on
yeah,
the line. And, you know, it's got to be better. It's got to
yeah.
be better. So anyway, draw a line in the sand.
I like that.
August
Speaking
17th.
speaking of sand, dude,
This
that's a problem for me, man.
No, I fixed you.
It's an auto bogey. Granted, the sanded persimmon is difficult because it's so inconsistent. You just don't know what you're going to get. And yeah, but I will say though that like I no longer catch them clean.
Well, that's good.
So if anything, it's heavy. So now it's more just like I think my issue now is that like I have better mechanics, but I still don't trust that I'm not going to catch it clean, and so everything's just a little bit behind. So now if I can just take my good mechanics and then just be more aggressive, practice being more aggressive, I think I can get through it. And I was just like, dude, I just want to be able to get up and down 1 out of 4 times.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's anytime I'm in a bunker, it's like, well, that's a bogey. Cause like, I'll get it out on the green, but I'm gonna have 40 feet, so yeah, it's just, anyway. Yeah, I had a similar one shot, which is, again, brought to you by the fine folks at Adele.
Hello.
Because one shot obviously can make the difference. It's, that one shot changed Nathan's game forever. And
Manifest
the fine
that
folks
shit.
manifest that shit. Trademark. And the fine folks at Adele, they build equipment to help you find that one shot, like that 6-iron that that Nathan punched out. Yeah, mine was something similar. It's like I had doubled 14 and then I doubled 15 because I was pissed. And then I kind of hit a wipey fade on 16 and I was like behind a tree. And I was like, oh, I'm getting mad. This is getting away from me. I'm like, no, all right, let's recenter. Just like, dude, just advance the ball.
Yeah.
Try to like, let's make a gritty par. And so like I got the ball up as far as I could, which is actually not really that far off. It was like maybe a 20-yard. I was like, I couldn't go right at the pin because there's a big ass tree in my way, but I could go like 20 yards left of it. So I had like a 20, and I judged the distance pretty well after like really only being able to take half a swing because there's a tree like right up against my shoulder or pretty close to my shoulder. And I was afraid of like coming through and breaking my club. But I judged the distance pretty well, struck it really well. And so I had like a 20-yard chip. And it kind of broke like 5 feet left, which I wasn't expecting, and actually judged the distance really well. So I had like a 5-foot kind of downhill putt, and made the putt on like the high side. And I was like, dude, okay, that was like a really gritty par. I was like, all right, like we're back, we're recentered. And then I hit a good drive, hit a good second shot, hit a good third shot, and made a great like 10-foot putt for birdie. And then freaking hit a great drive on. I that same thing. 18
Mm-hmm.
is just a tee shot, but there's a lot of obstacles and it gets pretty tight at the bottom. And so I did that same thing where I was like, here's how I'm going to line up. And if it goes straight, it's going here. And that I just accept what happens.
Yeah.
And so it just so happens I hit a good one, middle of the fairway. I had like 173 yards or something like that. Into the wind. It was a little downhill. So I was like, I'm just going to flush a 6-iron.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like. I just like, I know I'm going to flush a 6-iron and then I'm going to aim it here, and whatever decides to do in the air, I'll deal with it. And I hit this thing to like 9 feet. And then I, just barely underread the putt for birdie, which would have been a 78, which would have put me like T6 or something like that. Going into tomorrow's final round of the club championship. So yeah, I like that one. I don't even know if it was the shot. It was more of just like me recentering myself before the shot. Just be like, dude, all right, wipe it. It's done. It's over. Forget it. Amnesia. Be dumb. Just hit this next shot is the best that you can. Like, do the best you can to hit this shot. And I did. And then it's like, all right, now try to hit the best chip you can. All right, I did. Now hit the best putt you can. And that worked for me. So I think like that, in conjunction with, I was talking to you just about patience, like that double on 14 was just me putting too much, like being too confident in my abilities in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And just being like, dude, a 30-foot putt for birdie's fine. Like, just get it, like, don't put yourself in a position where double's even in play. And so like, I'm going to be super, super conscientious tomorrow, just being like, whoa, what's the easiest way to make par here? Like, but like, or like just like almost going to being like, birdie's impossible. What's the easiest way to make par? And then I'm sure I will manage to accidentally make like 2 or 3 birdies. And then if I can only, if I can figure out a way to only make a couple of bogeys, shoot under par, I might finish top 3 and then I'll make some money. So
that'd be cool. Hey, speaking of birdies, I have recently updated our birdie-a-thon
that's
numbers. Right. We are a little over a quarter of the way there to our fundraising goal, with only 3 people who have pledged.
All right.
2 of them have been Tyler and I. Yeah. So it would be wonderful if you guys would hop on and take a look at that and maybe pledge.
It's for the kids.
It's for the kids. All proceeds.
And you don't have to. You don't have to pledge per birdie. You can just do it. You can just do it flat.
Yeah, I mean, you can make it easy on yourself. But it's just been a fun season long kind of thing for us to do to chase after. I added 0 today, and I missed. I'll say 4 legitimate looks, as in like inside of 10 feet for birdie. And I thought I made every single one of them. I hit all those putts how I wanted to.
Putts. They just didn't go in. So perfect putts don't go in all the time.
But that happens. So anyway, check out our
check it out. Link will be in the show notes. You can find us on social media on Instagram at Mid-Am Podcast. You can find me at Fade and Fairway. You can find Nathan at Nathan.Furumasu and at Thistle Leather Goods. I think that's probably it. Wish me luck. I'm going to try to play good golf tomorrow, and hopefully
You're just going to play golf.
That's right. I'm just going to go out and play golf.
Yeah.
Play dumb golf, dude.
Dumb golf.
Like dumb golf.
That's right.
All right. Until next week. Talk to you guys. Bye.
Bye.